Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 takeaways episode from the Chris Irvin episode this past Monday, or the Ketologist, as he is on Instagram, and how he's branding himself because, like he said in the interview, he's really trying to bridge the gap and be the resource in between the research in the lab room and all that sort of thing, the research and the common person and the public. He wants to bridge that gap and to make sure that everything that's being found in research and found in nutritional studies and in specifically keto is being communicated to the public accurately and appropriately so that they can take that information and then go apply it into their life. So I think that him being that resource, him being that middleman is something really to acknowledge, because I think that it takes so much time and energy to be able to dive into the research and make sure that it's communicated thoroughly, accurately, and everything like that, and in a manner that can be taken by the public and be taken by the common person and then applied into their everyday life. So I really love what he's doing and love his work and love his mission, because yes, he is the ketologist and yes, he focuses on keto, but as you heard in the interview, he talks about nutrition as a whole, and he doesn't necessarily always follow keto 100% of the time. Like he doesn't always stay in ketosis 100% of the time. That's really the best way to talk about it. He doesn't stay in ketosis 100% of the time. He still enjoys life. He still indulges in pizza and that sort of thing. But the principles that keto follows and the principle of ketosis and what that is super important to grasp and understand. And it's important to understand the role that insulin plays in our body and how to regulate that and everything. So make sure that if you haven't listened to it, that you go back and listen to it. Make sure you subscribe to this show that you continue to get the amazing messages and knowledge that we continue to bring on the show week after week. And if you haven't rate and reviewed the show yet, then that would be a huge help to me. Please rate and review it. Other than that, let's get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is nutrition is different for everyone. I think there are a couple of big common things I'm going to mention in takeaway number 2 that are really important for everybody to know in terms of their own nutrition and their own diet. But however, what works for everybody, what works for each individual is going to be different for every single person. Like, how long has your diet been bad will determine what your results are. Like, if you've been following a really bad diet for years and years and years and years, it's going to take you a long time to kind of reverse those bad habits and to start seeing some of the positive results that you want to see. If you've only been doing it really bad for a short period of time, then it's not going to be as long in terms of when you're going to start seeing the results you want. In terms of how low of carbohydrate intake you should take in if you're following the keto diet, that's going to be different dependent on your past, dependent on your metabolism, dependent on your energy output, dependent on your exercise habits, all that sort of thing, depending on your heart rate level, because your heart rate is so unique. Your exercise habits are unique. What's best for you and when you're going to start seeing changes to your own body, to your own health, is unique to you. Like, don't compare your own nutritional journey to somebody else's. It's really important to be aware of your own nutritional journey, see what works, see what doesn't, see what you like, see what you enjoy, see what's manageable for you over a long period of time, and stick with that and make small nutritional adjustments as you see the things that work for you and as you see the things that don't work for you. Takeaway number 2 is here's where there is a little bit more of like the overarching thing that basically is for everybody. And takeaway number 2 is this: eat more real foods and less processed carbs. That's basically every single person. These are 2 simple action steps that you can take. Like, eat real foods. Eat things that are minimal ingredients. Like, if I'm eating an apple, if I'm eating broccoli, if I'm eating asparagus, if I'm eating whatever it is, like, that's that food. There's no ingredients in it, right? It's like, if I'm eating a carrot, I'm eating a carrot. Eat the thing that is the ingredient. Don't have something that has more than 10, 15 ingredients. It's like, what? That's just a bunch of things like thrown in together and processed and all this kind of thing. So eat real foods and less processed carbohydrates. The more processes your food that you're eating had to go through, the less real it is, and the more it's going to lead you to chronic disease, to inflammation, to insulin resistance, all these bad things that we want to avoid. So just try to stick with these 2 overarching themes as much as possible of eat more real foods and eat less processed carbohydrates, because that's going to work for every single person. You're not going to hear anybody in the nutritional industry worth their salt say anything other than that. Because I think, and real quick to finish on that topic, when people talk about diets, people are so obsessed about talking about what's different among all of these diet programs, among all of these fad diets. But let's talk about what's the same, because what's the same is what everybody should be doing. And these two things are essentially true across any diet, across anything. It's not, this is what's not complicated about it. These things ring true across all of these fad diets. Eat more real foods, less processed carbs. I'm sorry, I'm done with that. That's just one thing that I'm super passionate about. Takeaway number 3 is be honest about your own priorities. I really liked when we got into this kind of towards the end of the episode. They mentioned this quote in the book: your health or your nutrition is not an expense. It's an investment. And I know it's really hard to hear, especially if you're struggling financially. I understand, but it's look, if this really is a big enough priority to you, you're going to find a way to eat healthy. You're going to find a way to make it work. And it's I'm not here to tell you what your priorities are. I'm really not, but I have a hard time understanding any kind of argument towards me if somebody's going to say that their health isn't a priority to them. I just don't buy it, because if your health is not a priority to you, then and once that starts to decline, then whatever else is your priority, you can't do that to your utmost ability. So I really, really, really believe that health should be 1, 2, 3, right at the top of your priority level, no matter who you are. Because if you're not your healthiest self, if you're not your most energetic, if you don't feel your best, you're not going to be your best, and whatever other priorities that you have are, right? So I think you've got to find a way to prioritize your health. And if you truly prioritize your health, you can find a way to make it work. You can find a way to eat healthy on a budget and that sort of thing. And if you're not eating healthy because you're saying it's a financial reason or some other reason, I think you need to evaluate whether or not it's truly because of that, or because if there's some other priority that's taking over right now that's preventing you from eating healthy and being healthy. Because I think that if you dive deeply enough and you're honest with yourself enough, you realize that there's some other priority that you're putting ahead of your own health. And I think it's really something to, once you are honest with yourself that I'm not making it a priority, then you can start taking responsibility and ownership for it. And once you start doing that, you can start making those changes. You can start changing your decisions. You can start changing your behaviors for the better so that you can start to be healthier and that sort of thing. All right, guys, recap my 3 takeaways. Number 1, nutrition is different for everyone. Your nutritional journey is exactly that. It's your nutritional journey. It's based off of what you've done in the past leading up to this point. It's based off of what you currently do and what your current lifestyle is like. Takeaway number 2 is eat more real foods and less processed carbs. While nutrition is different for everyone, those 2 overarching themes are things that cannot be denied. If you eat more real foods, the thing that is the ingredient, you're going to be much better off and much more healthy. Takeaway number 3 is be honest about your priorities. Remember that your food, your health, your nutrition, that's not an expense. It's an investment. It's you have to prioritize your health, because you're not going to be the best at whatever it is you want to be the best at unless you're feeling your healthiest self or your most energetic and healthy self. Hope you guys enjoyed these 3 takeaways. I hope you enjoyed this interview with the Ketologist, with Chris Irvin. He's the man. I loved connecting with him. I feel like we're very similar in a lot of ways. So I hope you guys enjoyed this as well. Make sure you share it with a friend who's on their own nutritional journey and maybe struggling with some of these things and looking for a little bit of guidance and that sort of thing. Or somebody who's just already maybe dialed in with their nutritional game, but always looking to learn a little bit more. This could definitely be that resource for them. Other than that, I hope you really enjoyed this. Make sure you go subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you rate and review the show. Share it with a friend. Spread this message, because I'm so passionate about getting these amazing messages out there and these amazing pieces of knowledge, experiences, and all that good stuff, so that we can all work together to get a little bit closer and closer to your best you.